Alright, so this is group 16. This is the remaining match in this group. The 5 other match have already been played. I didn't stream any game from this group, but you always can check the bracket, and you will notice that Yggdrasil and ElephantMan won their games in the previous matches, so they both have 6 points each. Tron and Arabian Night, being the other two AIs, played their match, and Arabian Night managed to win 2-1 against Tron. So now the question is, who is gonna reach the first place between Yggdrasil and ElephantMan? So I didn't test ElephantMan versus Yggdrasil, but what I did is working a bit on potential trash on ElephantMan. I might have worked testing ElephantMan against 105. So I assume that it might be able to survive from a trash. At least it will depend on how fast it's gonna reach its castle age. Okay, we've got the exact same villager amount. Yggdrasil does already have loom. It's not the case for ElephantMan. We've got the same amount of villagers, but it's due to the fact Mayan has one more villager at the start. So Yggdrasil will need to find its opponent quite fast because of its strategy. Hello bandits! Yeah, definitely Arabian Knight had a bad moment against ElephantMan. It was absolutely powerless, I would say, with its strategy. Well, in fact, this is a marathon to play all those games, but step by step we've got the feeling that this tournament is running in the good way. I think it's turning not as fast as I would have liked, but MrElephant is quite busy unfortunately, so I need to run many games by myself. In general, MrElephant has free time in the Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, so we can expect streaming by MrElephant this evening. Hello Zibanovic. I didn't test your last version of your AI Zibay, but what I heard is you improved it's micro, so it's really sad we've lost your AI so early in this tournament. Alright, so it looks like Yggdrasil did find its opponent. It's time to start the strategy it's made for. That's the first safe tower. Alright, just a moment chosen by ElephantMan to research Feudal Age. Its gold mine is quite in the front, which is not a good news. And it didn't find any other gold which would be in a better place. So let's see what's going on. ElephantMan is supposed to build a new mining camp in case the villagers mining gold are attacked, but at least it requires to have another gold mine. And what it did find is at a pretty bad position, so no idea what's going on. Alright, it might be the third tower from Yggdrasil. Okay, the fourth, and now a fifth is built. Yggdrasil is supposed to build 10 towers, and after this it will focus on researching Castle Age. So it is at the middle of the goal. And I would say that ElephantMan is quite lucky at the moment, the gold being untouched by the towers. Okay, Zibe, we will need to wait a bit more. Well, Yggdrasil is a treasure in 1v1 and 2v2. It's based on strategies around towers, so in 3v3 and 4v4 the flanks will tower their town to be protected and will sling the pockets. But in fact it's definitely not a versatile AI, it just does have two strategies regarding the settings. Alright, so we've got a first elephant, a second one is trained actually, we've got a second stable. I admit that I am rooting for ElephantMan, which is I think more funny, and one of the latest AI I made with Wattle Empire. Yggdrasil is quite an old AI for me because it was my second AI just after having started working on Tribal Warrior. So I think Yggdrasil was made in 2016. So it is a 7 years old AI. I assume that this might be the 10th tower. So let's say that the tower is not really efficient, at least it's prevent to get to have the access to few farms. I think that 105 is more aggressive in its trash. Here you can notice that Yggdrasil cares a lot in being not visible when it built its first 2 or 3 towers. Okay, I think that it's more than 10 towers actually. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we've got the 10 towers. So Yggdrasil, I think it did the job. And ElephantMan might ungarrison its elephants when it does have three elephants. It looks like the elephants don't know which tower to pick. It's kind of unfortunate for ElephantMan, actually. Alright, we've got a siege workshop. I I really don't know what happens with the elephant. I hope that the ram will have a better behavior. Alright. Well, eventually I would say that things are not too bad actually for ElephantMan. It managed to boom. It didn't lose that many villagers at this point, despite the 10 towers. And besides this, Red is close to Research Castle Age. Yep, here we go. So it is Mayan. I don't remember exactly what it's supposed to do as Mayan. If it was a non-Meso civilization, it would go for knights. So actually I don't remember if it will go for Eagle Warriors or maybe for a boom. But anyway, I think that ElephantMan is in good shape. Okay, the villagers look to be more confident now with less towers around the town. We've got one tower left. Alright, so Yggdrasil will go for an Eagle's Rush. And it's starting to boom a bit with the second TC. Let's compare the population. Well, it's quite close. 52 for blue, 50 for red. But blue is actually starting training more and more elephants. Well, actually it's 2 elephants. And I think that the scout did a lot of work in the Yggdrasil's economy. Bye bye the scout. And I think that ElephantMan is now seriously starting to train elephants. Well, 3 TC boom each side. I didn't see this meaning come from blue. Alright. That is gonna be the first raid from ElephantMan. It's retreating for some reasons. $14 military population against 6. I will increase the speed. There is no micro in this attack. Alright, it looks to be a convincing victory for ElephantMan. Yep, elephants are actually spammed non-stop. Alright, 40 population for red. This is GG. So ElephantMan plays Malay only, while Yggdrasil plays any civ from Age of Conqueror, so it won't play Malay. I can't go team random. So Yggdrasil is gonna be Celt and Frankish. Yes, it's true, Zibei, about use of the castle. At least Yggdrasil knows how to adapt from the enemy's army composition, so we could have expected some pikemen if Yggdrasil didn't lose that fast. Actually, I would go for 4 times the speed, but ElephantMan uses pure villagers micro in Dark Age, so as for some other AIs, I can't go faster than 2 times the speed, at least in Dark Age. Alright, this time Yggdrasil was quite more aggressive with its towers. It delayed a lot blues in researching Castle Age. It looks like Yellow lost its world treasures. And what worked fine for green is it did rebuild a safe mining camp. The second armor camp was okay. Same for blue eventually. Okay, it looks like this time the elephants are doing well against the towers. So I don't know what happened in the previous game with the elephant. So this time we might see some knights from Yggdrasil. Yeah, we can see that blue suffered way more than green. There is actually a 6 villagers difference. And yellow does have a pretty decent Castle Age time coming. And red is not too far from researching Castle either. Alright, green is coming on yellow. It's gonna be quite scary. We might have a support of rams. Well, it's a quite bad timing for yellow, which won't be able to go this third TC. Let me see if Yggdrasil have fletching. It does have actually, at least yellow does. And so does red, so both have fletching. Alright, yellow managed to have its third TC eventually. "86 villagers for green, 76 for blue." So ElephantMan is stronger in booming than its opponents. Yeah, I'm scared that green is gonna be unstoppable at this point. This time Yggdrasil does a good use of its castle, at least in the front. Let's increase the speed. Alright, red now does have 94 villagers against 92 for blue. The game is quite close between blue and red. But unfortunately for red, green is already retargeting for the next opponent. Alright, green is retreating a bit. I think that it did start to retreat because it is actually researching Imperial Age, but because of the clear advantage, it eventually come back to fight. Alright, it looks to be a second victory for ElephantMan. So it just means that ElephantMan won the group 16. Yggdrasil is qualified by its second place. I think that 4v4 can be interesting and funny because of the strategy from Yggdrasil. Let's see. So civilization for Yggdrasil are gonna be Chinese, Hans, Japanese, and Mongol. So here we should see the Yggdrasil as flank slinging the pockets, and the pockets might go for 3 stables and mass knights. It's gonna be interesting to see how the ElephantMan will manage to play against a towered opponent. And to answer your question, Zibenovic, in fact, the scout is pretty active during the trash. By direct unit control, it will go at a certain distance from the TC for the first tower, and it will camp where the first tower is supposed to be built, and then it will keep focus on the placement for the next tower. Okay, so Elephant Man do have no loom at this point. It means that it managed to keep having TC working every time, so that is a good point. And for my latest version from Elephant Man, I worked a lot on the DUC for the villagers micro to help it to have a fast castle each time. So at its best, it is around 15 minutes, early 15 minutes. It happened once, it was 14 minutes and like 50 seconds, something like that. But unfortunately it's not consistent. But I think that I definitely could make Elephant Man faster in researching Castle Age if I prevented it to research Loom. But I keep thinking that it's better to have Loom anyway, even if it is when you are researching Feudal Age, especially because most of the opponents are gonna have army in early game, especially in the next rounds of the tournament, so it would be really unsafe to delay Loom to Castle Age. Well, this game reminds me what happened against Arabian Knight, because in fact knights looked really powerless against elephants. But maybe there is a timing for yellow, because blue is actually attacking red without all its elephants. So this is maybe an opportunity for yellow to at least kill some villagers. Yeah, I would say that the towers don't help much against an assault from ElephantMan. Alright, so the strategy for ElephantMan as pocket is booming and going for unique units. So the closest enemy being already dead, the target is the next opponent, which is actually the pocket. Well, at least the Japanese are doing a good job against the prey player. Alright, Tilly is researching Imperial Age. And green is almost Imperial Age. So it is starting with training some elephants, in addition with the unique units. Alright, it looks like Grey is dead. Almost. Okay, red is just dead when I select it. Now it's all about purple. Alright, blue is eventually coming to help. Purple just resigned. Alright, GG.